way, which makes sense because hi. I have a pair.
So let me get everything set here. There's that. And welcome, Sarah, pretty pink. Hello, I see Tori's here already. Hi, Tori.
It's so weird to be on this side. Like I was going to go type something and I was like, oh.
I know. Isn't it really weird? Michelle's here, New England Betty Boop, who is Lizette. And Daniela. Hello, Daniela. So did you make it home or are you on your way home or what's going on, Daniela? Daniela's always working.
Mm-hmm. Did she get stuck somewhere?
No, she was typing earlier that she's working. She's always working.
I know.
So, friends, if you didn't know it, I am Leslie Tucker. I'm a reseller's passion, and I am here with my good friend Sarah, and I'm going to just let Sarah introduce herself.
It is so weird to be on this side. Like I'm not prepared.
It's your girl, Sarah Styles. There you go.
Hello, guys. It is your girl, Sarah from Sarah Styles here. And then I was going to go into on my channel, but this is not. This is Leslie's channel. So I'm here. I am a reseller and a mom of 3 children. I am remote learning with them. My oldest is hybrid. He's special needs in high school, and so he's doing the hybrid to try and get as much support one-on-one as he can, although he's been quarantined most of the school year because it's chaos. And then I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, so a preschooler and a kindergartner that I am remote learning. And then I also have a degree in mathematics, so I have 3 dashboards for resellers to help you look at your numbers, quickly put your data in, and all the charts that you need so you don't have to know how to build those charts. And my channel, I have a YouTube and an Instagram and a podcast and a Facebook.
All that. I have like tiny, I don't write notes. I write one word. Oh, my first ever super chat because I monetized. Lizette, mwah! Thank you.
Oh, because you're monetized. Yay.
Yes, my AdSense was acting weird. It was reading Thomas's AdSense Gmail account or something totally weird. So I just went in and changed it. They sent me an email, said just change it to a new account. Everything. I went to bed, the AdSense went into play, and then I woke up this morning. And they were like 15 days. Woke up this morning, everything was good to go. So I am super excited. Thank you, Lizette. Thank you, friends, for joining us. We love you so much. Yes. So first of all, Sarah, how are you doing? Like, you know, sometimes we're always moving and everything, and no one really says, like, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you asking. I tuned in when you were talking with, I missed the first half, but the second half with Blake on Tuesday. And it was so touching how like real and raw he is. And it's so true that like, we're all coming from different places. It's hard right now. Like that's what I'm trying to say is it's hard, whether you are single in New York or you're at home with 3 kids, we're all kind of just in a hard place. I'm doing okay though. I was really struggling like a month before remote learning started because we were really debating. We had the choice. Did we want to put the kids in or do we want to bring them home? And while I appreciate that we had the choice, it was also a lot of pressure on us. Like, I don't know what the right choice is. And we figured for the littles, they're 3 and 5. They're constantly touching their hands. I don't imagine a 3-year-old would wear a mask. I'm at home where I can be with them. And so if it helps lessen the spread a little bit, that we decided to bring them home. But then that meant it was all on me. And so now I'm a teacher and I was really anxious about what that would entail for my business. So I did a couple of YouTubes. I really was struggling with that. I see a counselor and talk to my counselor about it. I do the EMDR, which kind of like hypnotizes your mind and like goes back to your childhood and like all kinds of crazy things, but it helps me feel a lot better. And now like we've gotten into a routine and I'm actually doing incredibly well with my business. So it's actually worked out okay, but it's hard. But now cases are going back up and yeah.
It's and we were saying just before we became live that I don't really go that many places. So I'm kind of on the boundary because I'm 51, so I'm not like 60. Like my husband will be 63 next month. And yes, I did say your age, Thomas. He says, why do you keep saying my age? I was like, I just use it as an example for stuff. I can't help it. So there's a 12-year difference in our ages.
Just dig that right in.
Yeah, it's still that boundary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm at the beginning where I have to be careful. So when people come in here, I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? What you got going on? Sanitize and that thing. It's not as bad as it was in the beginning, but I don't really go that many places. And so I have to force myself, especially since the weather is going to be changing soon. Like, if it starts snowing, I'm going to be in. But right now I have the ability to kind of go out and do things. But I am like a homebody. So I have to kind of practice going out. So I set like 2 days a week that I actually know I'm going to leave the house unless it's an appointment. Something like Friday is my day. And then I'll hang out with my girls and we'll go run some errands and things like that. So
I don't mind being home a lot. I like, my business is here. My kids are like,
exactly.
I don't miss that. So my husband misses like going. He likes going to the movies in the mall.
Yeah,
I don't miss that at all.
I don't miss the mall. I love the movies. That's something that Thomas and I like to do, especially we can get his senior citizen. But yeah, I don't miss that. I've never liked the mall. So.
Oh, my husband would just want to go to the mall and walk around. So I'm actually grateful that like that's not an option anymore. Yeah. But I live really close to all my family, and my parents are definitely high risk age and then just health conditions as well. So we have to be really careful with them. And then with my oldest in school and, you know, just going back and forth. And he's a stepchild, so he goes back and forth between homes. So it just gets kind of complex. We try and go out for a walk every day, which definitely helps. And like you said, for the snow, it's hard to be inside all day with little kids.
Oh, I know.
And the backyard, like, is not fun, right? Like, it's like, this is old news, Mom.
Yeah,
like,
I want to actually go away. You have to have the playground. You know, you have to get in the car, maybe go somewhere. Oh, I remember it well. I do. It's so funny that by the time I moved in with Thomas, he likes to do different things than me. And when I was raising my children, I didn't have like a lot of money. You know, Thomas he made like decent money as a firefighter, and then he always had like a business on the side or something. So he and his children did stuff like they went skiing and they did all that. My children unfortunately didn't have that, but they did. I kept them in activities. Like when we met, it was almost like he was thinking they didn't do anything. I'm like, sweetie, they did go to summer camp. Craig played baseball. The girls danced. Stacey talked about that yesterday. So they did those things, but they didn't really have the advantage to like do a lot of like traveling and things. So they were outside children though. That's all they did was go outside. We lived in Philly. So when we got here, he kind of made it seem like we didn't do anything. I'm like, yeah, they're used to being out, but now I took them from the city and plopped them down on the suburbs where there's 30 neighbors on the block and no one says hello.
See, we live in the suburbs, but it's nice. And so I'm in Colorado, so it's like very active. That's the other thing too, is we have all the fires. There's a new fire. I posted in my Instagram stories yesterday. We were out for a walk and I mean, we're not close enough to have to be evacuated, but it's close enough that you can like see the smoke of fire. So that's the other thing too, is most of the summer we haven't even really been able to go outside because it's been so bad. Like you can smell and breathe the smoke. And then it's hard for little kids to keep them inside all day. So that's been a struggle. But I think from when COVID first hit, that was hard because we weren't in the routine of going to school. And then everyone's like, well, it's just like summer break. And I'm like, except for summer break, we go to the museum and we go to the zoo and we go like, we can't go anywhere. They don't have school. They haven't seen their friends anymore. So we've kind of gotten into a new routine, but it is still a struggle because we like go for a walk.
So how do you still go to the grocery store and everything, or do you do like an Instacart or anything like that?
We do a mix. So pre-COVID, I did the pickup anyway, just because I don't like going to the grocery store. And I could like do the grocery list at like 8:30 at night, pick it up on the way home from getting ready from school. I did that anyway. So I was in the habit of that. It's hit or miss on what we do. Oh, you got another one.
Terry, thank you, darling. That's Terry.
That's so exciting.
I just want to let you ladies know, one, I appreciate you so much. This is my first day being officially monetized. So the 2 super chats, yay. And then also I see Cynthia just came in. Cynthia, look, it's late, but I had to get some coffee. Cynthia gifted me with this wonderful Frida Kahlo mug when I met her in North Carolina. And I met Terry Evolving Always. So there you go, Cynthia. Cheers.
And her Instagram got hacked, right? So if you were following her, go follow her new page for the second time.
Yes, and her Spanish channel. But yes, she even got in and she explained that the two step authentication didn't work, even though I just did a video. I follow a big YouTuber. I can't her name Sue Zimmerman is her name. But if you type that in, she's an Instagram strategist and teaches about that. But she just said if you can turn that on, and also don't do it through text, do it through Duo, which is the app where if a hacker tries to get in, you have to they have to go through all these codes first to get into your account. So if you do the two-step authentication like you do normally, where you get that text message, the Duo on Instagram, so that you need to do that. I have 5 Instagram accounts, so I instantly went in and did the step process. The cool thing is once you load the Duo app on to your device, like your iPad and your iPhone, and I'm pretty sure it works for Android too, because it's recommended by Instagram. But as soon as you load it onto one device, it recognizes the second device and it instantly is attached. So it actually takes you through that example. As soon as you set your authentication, it'll show you it's at least about 10 codes, and you can go right in and you have Daniela, you guys are just tripping me out today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So yes, we need to be careful. I don't know what's going on with Cynthia. The other thing I want to make a point about for your Instagram is you do not have to have your email account visible in your Instagram account. Like some people forget that when they first set up their account. You know what I'm talking about, Sarah? Where they can actually click in and either email you, or they click in and all of a sudden your phone's ringing. Take all that out there. Instagram needs your account. That's just to verify who you are. But a person who comes to your account should not be able to click it and get your email account. If they need you, let them DM you. Why do they need to email you? Go ahead.
So mine is my business email. And I actually don't mind it because I have people who have certain professional people and businesses prefer email over DMs and age groups I found too. I'm like, I am. And I came from corporate America. So I'm like an email, like social media is not like for business. And I'm learning that like do business on social media.
I only have business accounts. I have a business account for every business I have. So I don't just
I don't know how you keep it straight.
Neither do I, but I have to do it because I am perimenopausal. So that's my challenge every single day, to try to remember something, to do something, to create something, to learn something. Because if I don't, I'll sit here. We all go through that memory fog for a second. But for me, if I don't like focus, that's why I do these lives. That's why I do the podcast, to keep my brain fresh. It's amazing. But definitely, watch your account. So Cynthia said no codes work. They did send the link to my phone and email, didn't work also. I think that's because it totally got hacked. And that happens. My daughter's Facebook account totally got hacked. And then they literally took over her account and pretended it was her. And they were sending people asking for money. I don't know. And then finally my future son-in-law said, oh, I think I just got taken. I said, wait a minute, did you give somebody money? Are you kidding me? And so I was like, that wasn't Tyra. I know that wasn't her. So I actually sent a message and I said, hey, how are you doing? Right? The person goes, hello, how are you doing? I was like, I instantly knew it wasn't my daughter because she's the oldest. She'll be 30. She starts every conversation with mom, comma, and then says what she's going to do.
Oh,
exactly. So and plus it was like, hello, how are you doing? And so I called her and just made sure. I was like, look, tell everybody, and Facebook and Instagram are so bad with responding and taking action that person is still living in her Facebook account. And every now and then, because it's not her, they share an old story to let people think it's her. And
they won't take it down?
And they won't take it. I told her to tell everybody. I actually walked her through the process. She happened to be on a family trip that day too, that my future son-in-law, Jose, called me. And I said, she's in Atlantic City with her family. She's not somewhere trying to. So when I called her, I said, tell everybody who's with you right now that follows you to go in now and report it to Facebook. Mm-hmm. And so a couple days went by. So after I talked to her, I went into Facebook and I said to the person, I was just checking in because I haven't talked to you in a while. I typed that in messaging, and then the person didn't get back to me till like 3 days. Oh, I'm good. How are you? And then they went right into the spiel. Have you heard about this program? And I was like, dude, I am the girl's mother. And he said, F you, mom, and then blocked me. Yes. Yep.
And then
so
just
all that, and then I reported it again. I reported it like 8 times to Facebook, but I took that information and reported it because that's how I was like, yeah, I'm her mother. You're not her.
So I can't imagine if, I mean, I will probably just quit social media if that happens. Like all of the time and energy we put in, if I had to start.
I feel the same way. It happened to Patricia too, Trish Fan 99. She was at 12,000 followers, and now she's getting, because they're both in my group. I had literally, Cynthia had just said that hers was hacked the day before. Patricia sent me a DM because she had been going through some challenges with her family. And so we had talked about it, and I said, I hope everything's okay. The next morning when I went to go check on her, she had disappeared. So I text her and asked her, I'm like, wait, hold on. She's like, yes, I've been hacked. So her whole account. So she's back up to 3,000 with a new account.
And her video when she came back was hilarious, though, where she was like in the jail.
I know, with her. Oh my God. So it was
pretty solid.
I don't know if it's emails or whatever, but anyway, so back to what's going on. We don't want to bring anybody down, but I'm like Sarah. If I were to lose, what I worked for, it may seem like immaterial to someone else because you're not building your business the way that we are. We have like a strategic plan of how we're growing our business now that we're in business. So to me, it may seem like, yes, I'm like working behind the scenes, but that just creates engagement. And then I'm able to say, bam, here's the information or give you whatever I need to give you. So it would hurt my heart.
Yeah. I mean, I spend it probably right now, I'm spending more time on social media than I am actually doing in reselling related. And so it would be the same as if like my eBay store got hacked and everything went away. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
I know. Okay. So let's talk about some of those good things. Let's talk about your YouTube. What's going on with your YouTube? I know when you were talking to Chris, I love catching you and Chris together. I love catching all of your stuff. I just watched your last 2 eBay videos. What are you planning to do going forward with your YouTube? Like, I know you started, well, why did you start? Like, that's the question I've been asking people lately. And the reason that I asked that question, one, everyone can have a YouTube channel, right? But when you think in terms of our community, it can go either way. Like some people, when they first start reselling, the first thing they do is they just go start getting this content. But then there's so many people who are different. Not everyone's the same, and it's really continuing to grow. Like Rosalind just came out with a channel. Hers is totally different. Cynthia's channel is totally different. Carla from Unequal Match is so totally different. So everyone has like a different mindset with a different intention. So what was your intention when you started your channel?
I've been asked it. I'm doing more interviews and I've been asked it. So I've really been thinking hard about like why I did it and what my intention is. And so when I first started reselling, I did go on YouTube and I tried to like I'm not a huge YouTube consumer. It's just not my generation, right? Like it came out after when I was in my early 20s, so it was kind of there, but not like I grew up with it, and it's just not. I wasn't a YouTube consumer, so I kind of looked at a couple things, and it's the same reason that I built the dashboard. Is the information that I was really, when I was searching for, the information that I wanted wasn't really there. There's not a lot of analytical. Like I would watch a haul video and they'd say this sells well, and I'm like, well, like, but what does that mean?
Right.
And it's fine. Like you said, everyone has different things. For me, from an analytical math background, I'm like, but like for how much and what's your sell price? And like I want to know the numbers. And there's a couple of those, but I felt like the ones that really get deep into the numbers were very intimidating, right? And not necessarily a mix of the both. Like there's a haul, but also like here's why I did the haul. And so that's kind of, as I'm thinking of back on it, I think that's kind of why I started the YouTube. It started because I started a dashboard because I wanted to know numbers, right? I started on Poshmark where they don't give you any data. So I started the dashboard for myself, and then that grew into other people wanted it. And then it was like, well, if I want to promote this and have people know that I have it, I need to do social media. So it started with promoting the dashboard, and now it's grown into still promoting the dashboard, but teaching people, because I have the product out there, but I want them to be able to know how to use it.
Exactly.
And even if they don't have their product, like I go into eBay analytics, and once I get better at YouTube, I'll probably go into YouTube analytics. Like eBay gives us this information, but I want people to know how to use it.
Yeah. Thanks, Cynthia. Yeah, definitely. So I agree with you. Aside from the mathematical point, like if you were on my daughter Stacy, that she dropped out of school in after her sophomore year, but that's what she went to school for. She went to school for mathematical sciences. So we were talking about that last night. But she left that to be a photographer. So that was, you have to watch it, because I was like, I was not happy with her. But I agree with you with sometimes, well, that's the difference between everyone. When I started looking at a lot of content, there are a lot of sellers, and they were giving me just enough, right? Just enough to sustain me. And then I had to learn on my own and really dig deep. And so I started just creating my own content that I would want to see. And then it resonated with others. Now, this YouTube, it does take a little bit to kind of learn, because you have to learn the SEO, which is like you were saying, you have to get into the analytics and the keywords and all of that. Initially, my goal was just to create this organic content that I was creating on Instagram. It's totally different, right? It's totally different. So even though I'm monetized, I'm looking at my YouTube every day, and I'm thinking to myself, well, still didn't get like a certain amount of views. So I'm tweaking every single day, where I just went back in and changed. I didn't change all of them because it's too many.
I was going thumbnails. Yeah, I was gonna do my thumbnails, and I did like 10, and I was like, that's good.
Too much. Yeah, Danielle went one day and did all hers, but she doesn't have that many videos yet. So I went down enough that when somebody came to the first page, that it would look clean. So that's what I did. So, and because it was kind of loud, I did it last week, and then it's clean. I like that pink, right? That pink that I did with, I thought, and then of course with this app I'm using, Base.
Although it's thrown me off. I think I've got it now, but on Instagram, I would go to DM you, and I would like click past you, because I was so used to like your other one that I'm like, where is it? Why is it not coming up first?
Like, yeah, I'm just like, and that's what we do. We're just growing. So you have like 15, she says. So we're just growing, and it's just, that's like just the evolution of our business. As we learn something, that's like people on Poshmark. You learn, someone just DM'd me just before I got on. They found me on another podcast I just did, an over 50 podcast. It was released 2 days ago. And she found me, and she was like, oh, wow, I just went in and changed everything about my Poshmark. Her name, her background, her logo photo. And I was like, that's incredible, because we start with our names, or sometimes, because we go on as buyers. We're not intending on selling and making it any type of business. So it's just the evolution of business. I just want to say hello to some people. Jessica, LB SoCal, Dusty Leather and Lace, Kelly. That name always gets me. Hello, everyone. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone. Thank you guys for all the super chats. Oh my gosh. My Glow Girl Glow. Hey, Nikki. My first official day monetized, and you guys are just blessing me so much. Danielle and I have over 180. Wait a minute. Let's go. Here. Daniela, I have over 180 and like 80 lives. Yes.
To redo her. Well, they're talking about redoing their thumbnails.
Yeah.
And Daniela's like, I have like
looks fine. And the thing is, it's like, you have to really figure out where you want to be, because there's so much. Like, I can look at Brittany, in Essential Endeavors, and I go, wow, Brittany's is just beautiful. And I can go, Daniela just changed hers. Hers is amazing. But then I love Tori. She has like her flowers. But if you read about the algorithm, they tell you not to be loud and not to be fussy, just to have, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to create a fine.
I think also it needs to be you, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can, like, I will see yours and know that it's you. And so even if YouTube doesn't necessarily know that, your followers will start to know, like, that you want to look at your thumbnail, and you can look at one of Tori's and know. That's
how I feel as well. It's that we know, like they'll know you when you come on. If nothing else, the hair.
I know. I was just gonna say, I'm like, real talk. I've been over the pink mohawk for probably a good year, and I have not got rid of it, because it is absolutely
branding.
Yeah,
it's your branding. It's your branding. So sometimes we have to kind of stick with what the community wants. Once
I get big enough, I don't know how big this will be, but I feel like once I get to a certain level that maybe I'll change it. But like, yes, the pink hair, people know.
So I'm going to tell you what Chris said when he was on Sarah's. He was like, stop the live. He was like, not too many lives, more content. And if you go, like every time I turn around, Chris is popping in, and it's like people when they look at me, he's much busier and whatever. But I'm like, when does he have the time? But he does random, because the other day he was just in his factory or whatever. Look, a factory. He was just in his storage area, and he just did like a 10-minute video. So it doesn't have to be that involved. We make it more than it has to be, and that's what I decided to do. Just make it more than it has to.
Yeah, but he's also been doing it for a really long
time.
And he has built whether he like officially sits down and builds content, I guarantee the majority of his videos, he has a purpose and he has his content already built, even if it's just in his head or like 5 minutes before where we're new at it. And I have to sit down and take an hour to like build out my content. So I come across and people want to listen to what I have to say. And I also like, he can put out a video because he has 60,000 followers. I mean, I'm not dissing on him. I love him. He has 60,000 followers. So like, even if, a fourth of them watch, it's already going to get boosted in the algorithm, where when you're starting out, I think you really do have to pay a bit more attention to those types of things.
But Sarah could probably speak to this as well. But to answer your questions, Cynthia, lives do help. That's why when I knew I got into that number where I knew I was at the brink of getting monetized, I knew that I would double up on my lives. So Tuesday and Thursday, I was just going consistent and doubling up, because not only are people looking at us now, but they're going to continue looking at it as a video. So yes, but then you don't want to just stick with lives if you want to create like some edible content, unless your lives are going to be structured in a way where someone's coming on to teach. Whereas like if Sarah was here today and she shared her screen and she went into her dashboard or something like that. So you just want to kind of be careful. What do you think about that, Sarah?
Yeah. And I'll say, most of what I'm going to tell you is just something, if you want to watch all of the live with me and Chris, because that's kind of what I'm going to mimic. But essentially, and I've been doing, because to go back to the question a minute ago, I didn't fully answer it, but my reselling is where I feel like it's where I want it. I don't want to grow anymore, because then I feel like I need an employee. So I've gotten that pretty consistent. And it sounds weird, but I really don't want to be selling much more. I don't want to be spending hours shipping. I'm now spending that time on YouTube, and I'm actually like paying attention to YouTube, not just like putting content out and hoping that someone watches it. I'm going to start being a bit more strategic about it. So the past couple weeks or a month, I have been a bit more strategic, and that started with talking with Chris and the lives. So the lives are helpful. The lives keep the people that are already your subscribers already watching your content. They like you, they want to engage with you, whoever you have on, they want to. It's not going to grow your channel, and it's not going to get you new subscribers. Maybe a few here and there, because the algorithm doesn't favor lives. So lives are more for your people, for your subscribers. We're putting out content. The algorithm prefers uploaded videos as opposed to lives for suggesting videos and coming up in searches. And so if you're wanting to grow, doing a little bit of both. But I'm with Leslie in the sense of, so when you're trying to get monetized, you have to have 4,000 watch hours. That's a lot.
It may like a lot.
Yeah. So when I was like, I'm going to try and get monetized, I was like, I'm going to do this. It was like right before the pandemic. I'm going to do this. I started doing lives because I was like, well, that's an hour. Like if I do 2 of those a week, and even if people only listen to half of it, that's still 30 minutes.
Exactly.
But now I'm still doing them because I like engaging with the community. It's for me and for my followers too. I think they like it, but then I'm only doing 1 live now a week and really trying hard to put out some content. And I am noticing they get a lot more view. If you are, I'm trying to look at the SEO, look at the thumbnail, and look at the analytics and build YouTube how I built Poshmark and eBay. Like I have those figured out, I feel like, and now it's my time to figure out YouTube.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Daniela's funny. She only has 850 watch hours. Well, one, you just started, but then you're working full time, so you don't really have the time. But I guarantee you, when you really make it a priority, no different than when you set that day, Daniela, and you went in and changed all your thumbnails, and you're starting to be strategic about your SEO, your analytics, your keywords are really key. TubeBuddy, if that helps you, whatever it is going to help you become monetized. She says, I love doing lives. They are my favorite. I prefer engagement and discussion. I really do as well. I think it's great, but I'm like Sarah, starting in November, I'm going to be cutting down to one live here on YouTube, because now in my new group, a Resellers Passion Masterclass, I'm going to be going live on Thursday. So it'll be Tuesday here, Thursday there. And I have a whole lot of stuff that's coming in November. And I also want to piggyback off of what Sarah said. I don't want to do any more reselling stuff. Whatever I'm doing is right there. So whatever I have in terms of sourcing, yes, I may bring some more things in, but I'm staying right there, and I'm taking off 2 platforms in December. I do that every year, really sit back. And I think that's really key, to really think about your business and where you want it to go. All day long, I've been thinking about what we were talking about on Monday. You were saying that Nick asked you, he's always asking you, so what's the next thing? You know, what do you think about, yes, her husband, Nick, Mr. Styles. So he's always asking you, and Thomas is like that. And that's where my head goes. And it's always something. It's always the next thing for me. So in order for me to do the next thing, I have to give something up or let something lay back there. It could be back there, and then I could do it, something that doesn't require me working on it every single day. You know, and that's where I think with like Sarah, she has a lister. I use List Perfectly. That's where you start seeing where you need these programs or people to help you. Otherwise, you know, it's not necessary if you're not going to really think about how your business is growing.
Yeah. And I know you did a video on, there's so much content to watch. I did see that you did a video, and I know you well enough to kind of have an idea of what you probably said, but about like, do you actually need these or do you want these? And I'm kind of talking about where I'm going. So I went to school to be a math teacher, a high school math teacher, and what happens, and the economy sucks and whatever. But I didn't do it. But I have a passion for teaching, and so you could probably tell that in my videos, which is amazing that I can do this on YouTube. And then I'm working on doing some courses as well. One of the things that I talk about in the course, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'm a mom of 3, so it's taking time to get it done. But one of the things I talk about is like, your time is money, and making, how do you know when it's right to outsource? Because if you pay a lister, but then you're not doing something with that time that you're getting back for your business, you're not going to grow, you're going to lose money, right? But if you pay a lister and now I'm getting back 8 hours a week that I'm not listing, and I'm able to build courses and dashboards and YouTube, my business is going to grow.
Yeah. Well, one thing I didn't talk about that in the video. The only thing I talked about in the video were like the supplies. Like, do you really need to have a camera versus like your phone, you know, lighting kit, that kind of stuff I talked about.
Yeah, but I think you probably, I mean, maybe not to that level, but like, you don't need all of that fancy, expensive stuff if you're not there yet.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I broke it down. Like, I broke down from like the beginning of my journey, what I was using and stuff that I'm still using. Like, I use my phone. I don't use this fancy camera that Stacey gave me, because I keep looking at it and keep going on YouTube and going like, yeah, that's like 20 steps when I can just prop my iPhone onto this little tripod and hit the little clicker, you know? So I'm like, I may be over a little bit. My eyes may be gone, but listen, they know I'm looking at them. So once I get to that point, that'll be beautiful, that I, you know, I can have great lighting and maybe a different place, but I'm me. And one of the things that I do like about my community, the community, is that people know that I'm genuine. So if I start getting weird and going into a different direction, that's how you lose people too. They want to see your growth, but your personality, for the most part, I think should stay the same. You know, with growth, your personality is going to change some, but you're not going to come into the room like, yeah, I'm a big bag reseller now, you know. So if you just kind of keep it like even tone. And I'm with Sarah with the classes and things like that. I'm really excited. I have like tons of stuff. I don't know if you feel like this. Yeah, you do math, so you probably do. It's like your brain has so much information, and if you can just get your body to work as fast as your brain works, that would be so amazing, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. And my thing is time, because I have the 3 kids. And this is part of, we were talking at the beginning of the call. It was really hard and devastating for me to have to remote learn with the kids, because it was my plan. I think I talked about this with Tori, like at the beginning of the year, pre-pandemic. My plan was all 3 of my kids were going to be in school in the fall. I was going to be able to not only do reselling, but I have like pages and pages of like classes and courses and YouTube videos and like all these things. I want to be able to teach people how to look at their numbers. And then now I have to stay home with 3 kids. And so that was like a big part of the struggle, is because it wasn't just the reselling aspect. It was, I also wanted to teach all of these things and do all of these courses. And I still have the list. Something Chris told me was your mind isn't meant to hold ideas, it's meant to think of them. So if you write it down and then you
down, yep,
which is helped. But then I look at the notebooks and I'm like, well, there's all of the stuff that I'm not doing right now.
Well, I'm the same way. So I'm going to reach back for me because I'm a clipboard. And look, I just like notes all day long. Where's my camera? But the thing is, I can go to it. Mm-hmm. And so what also happens, the things we retain, I think, are the things that are the most important things that we should be doing. So you were talking about like you're doing courses, you're about to do course and you're teaching and things like that. Those are the most important things because again, I was on one of your lives and I love Chris. He always gives me a shout out. I love to see him smile. Oh my gosh. Because it doesn't happen often. He probably smiles a lot at home, but he seriously goes into like this mode. But I love that though.
I love because that's him, right?
Really. And he shouts out, but he also is like, and then when the last time he shouted, he was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that Leslie's doing some digital products. And I'm like, yeah, because he had actually challenged you. And you were like, Chris, I have like 3 kids at home, but now you're starting to kind of do that because you see the future of where it needs to go. My goal is to have no physical product in the next 5 years, that everything be informational, whether it be courses, webinar, or digital. But I want to go over here because Mr. Styles is saying something. Yes, definitely. Did you get the 12?
I don't know. Ask him. What's the new one? The
11. My last one was the 8, and I have the 11, which we've had it for like 8 months. I clicked that already. He has 2. He said 2 things here. Okay, it says AT&T has a deal now. There you go. So that's what we did. We did the same thing, Nick, and then it worked out where we were able to get all 4 of us iPhones because my girls pay for their own phone bills and stuff like that, and
mine is so bad because you know how Apple's smart, but you know how they are. They have a new, I guess I'm on the 8. So I'm like 4 phones behind now, right? And you know how they are. They keep putting out updates, but then the older ones you can't update as much. And my phone is getting to the point. Like I tried to take pictures yesterday for reselling stuff. I tried to take pictures and I guess I got the 12. I tried to take pictures and it was so like it would not work. And I was like, I need something. I don't need the nice, newest, fanciest one. I just need one that's going to take pictures. But then when they come out with the new one, they're like, well, it's only like $3.
I know. Yeah. And I try to keep mine. We try to do the 2-year. I'm not the person who runs out. So I will, like my 8, I was good with that. Thomas had an Android and the girls had, I told them to start off. So they had gotten like unlocked phones from Amazon. You want to make sure you can take care of it. They're buying their own. I buy nothing for kids anymore. They're all 18 and over. So they're paying their own bills. They're buying their phones. So when we were able to get the family plan, it worked out. And it actually, you know, division, it worked out that they were paying actually less a month. So that worked out. And I like that. So when the next one comes, it'll probably be a 13. I'm not really sure.
Well, I'm 4 behind. I'm 4 behind, and you can see my case is like broken. And I'm like, I don't need a new one. And
that's like, to me, that's like the mom thing. And that's one of the things I did show in my video. It was like my phone, this right here is everything, but then I have an iPad and I have a MacBook. Those are they're business write-offs. When you're licensed, I'm getting the LLC when I move. But when you're licensed, you need to, all that's text. You know what I'm saying? This is a business item to me. You know, years ago, probably would get the phone. Yeah, it's a business. Everything is on here. And that's what I showed in the video. I was like, you open up your phone, bam, tap. And I was like, there's Poshmark. You can do everything. I was like, turn it like this, put it on this little tripod. Yes, I'm filming for the day. You know, so, and then I just treat myself to like a little cute case every now and then, and my pop socket, I'm good to go. Wow. So it doesn't take a lot to please me. But that right there, I think is a business investment. Like, you know, Thomas doesn't like the iPhone. He complains all the time. And I'm like, sweet, okay, whatever, take it back or whatever. But I'm using mine because it's doing what I need to do.
Well, and I know you have Apple products too. And I this is not paid promotion, just to clarify on YouTube. But my brother is like a very avid Apple user. And so he would get a new one every year because he uses it for work. And so he would give me his old one for like $100. And I'm like, well, you can't even get a PC for that. So after like 5 or 6 years of that, I finally got to the point on YouTube where I needed a better computer because I wasn't able to do editing. It just wasn't working. And so then I was like, well, I have to get an Apple now because I'm like, I don't know how to use other computers, but it's so nice because it like I mean, you know this. I take pictures on my phone and then I put it right there on my.
I love it. I love it. So this is my Dell I'm talking to you on. This is my old computer. And when I got my Rolo, which was gifted, I talk about that all the time because that was I talked about in my video. Take your time getting these things if you can't afford it. But the birthday money that I got, I used it for a Rolo. And then I was like, oh man, I need like now I have to set it up to my computer, but my computer's way over there because I have a rolling desk. But I was treating myself to a MacBook anyway. So I said, let me just do it a month earlier. But because of COVID, they're behind anyway. If you order it now, it took me a month for me to get my MacBook anyway. So this is my Dell. I'm used to it. I don't use iMovies on it. I use a program called Filmora that my daughter Stacy told me about because iMovies is not available on a Dell. So I bought the yearly subscription. So I'll probably update this or just do my iMovies.
iMovies, if you have a Mac, it's free.
Yeah, it's free. I mean, it's free on all my products, but I already have it on here, so I'm used to doing it. It's simple, and it's the same. It's exactly the same as iMovies. My mother has a Microsoft. She paid $20 for that, and she makes her videos and stuff. It all does the same because I'm just still faking my editing.
But what I was gonna say, it's so wild now that it's just so easy. Like these programs are like on my computer, and I can teach myself how to edit a film. Like. It just blows my mind. But I want to say something about the Rolo for a second. So I only recently got a Rolo. I've been reselling roughly 2-ish years. So not even, reselling forever. But I'm very cheap. My husband will attest to this, I'm sure. He was like, well, let's go get the iPhone. And I'm like, you have to go in and tell them, like, figure out what we need because I won't spend that money. I'll be like, give me the cheapest thing. Like, I will not. And so I'm like, go in, you know what I need, you know what I knew, just go spend the money, right? And so I never would buy a Rolo. Like I know that, but I got to the point where, and it's good, but I was making so many sales a day that the Rolo was actually, it has significantly decreased my shipping time. Definitely. When I was doing like 1 or 2 sales, it's like, okay, whatever. But, on the weekends, I'm doing like 30 sales. It would take an extra hour. So like that, but I waited 2 years to do it. And even then I was like, we have to wait for it to go on sale.
Mine, I waited 4.5 years. I didn't get one. I've been reselling since April 2016. But what I tell people is what I talked about in the video. I'm very cheap too. I like to say my husband's cheap. I'm frugal.
I'm fiscally responsible.
Yeah, exactly. So I told people, and Nikki and whoever is like on a budget can attest to this because I was a mom with so many children. I budgeted everything. So that's the mindset that I have now. When I bought my lighting kit, I'm like, oh, it's $45. But in 2 weeks, it'll probably go back to $69. That's okay. I save $10 a week. So if you think in terms of anything that you want to purchase, set a budget. Nikki will tell you, do the envelope system. On your envelope, write what you want to purchase. Rolo on the envelope and start sticking $10 or whatever in there. That's what I did when I was a professional baker. I wanted Danskos. Now, I didn't know anything about reselling and going on to any platform and getting some results. So I would get twice a year $125 for a new pair of Danskos. But I budgeted it. I never paid $125. I would, from every paycheck, I would put $25 aside. So if you think in terms of that, save for it. What people do is they think in their mind it's $169 or whatever. I don't have that. But if you start saving towards that, you'll have that money so fast, whether it goes on sale or not. So you're thinking further than you really need to. Because, I had to take a $20 bill and squeeze that sucker sometimes because of,
Yeah. Well, so I'm one of 6 children and my mom stayed home. My dad was a police officer. So we didn't have tons of money either. And so I'm like, even my husband today went grocery shopping. I was like, you bought more than was on the list. He was like, Sarah, like I bought some fruits and vegetables. And I was like, but that wasn't on the list. He was like, but we don't, like I spent $20 on fruits. And I was like, he's like, it's okay to spend money. And I'm like, and we're not like tied up for money. Like,
right. No, I totally understand. I think it's a good way to be. Yeah, my children are like that. My youngest one can spend a little bit more money, but that's like my son. He's like really in the best profession because he's in the Army. This kid was already like, I am not. He would get holes in his shoes. And when he turned 18, I'm like, dude, you're a size 11 and you're working at BJ's. I'm not buying you shoes anymore. He was a 12 at the time. And he was like, nope. He would come home with holes in the bottom of his shoes because he was just so like cheap. Now in the Army, he doesn't have a family. He doesn't have anything. And he's like, Mom, I got plenty. He paid off his student loans. like that first bonus check he got, and it's just like amazing. And he's like, yeah, I'm not spending that. I'm not spending that. My friends were spending that, and I'm spending that. So I know,
and I'm like, save for something, like just always save. And he's like, what are we saving for? I'm like, I don't know, just save it. Like, just
save. We're saving. You never know if look at where we're living now. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
The family who's doing well, you never know how well you're doing until something like this happens. Yes. Right. So you think that you're doing well, or the people looking in think, oh, they're doing so well. And the next thing you know, you lose your job. We're all one job away from, being homeless. It's one paycheck away from being homeless. So
we've actually always, since we've been married 8 years, I think now, but we've always lived on one income. Yeah. So even when I was working in corporate America, that money was all just extra, like savings, other thing, or like bonus stuff. Yeah. But we always lived on one. Our mortgage was on one income. So then, which was helpful because then I decided to stay home with the kids, and we were okay. And then now I'm able to do this.
And it's a beautiful thing. I love it. I think that people should do that. Thomas and I talk about that stuff all the time. We don't have a lot of expenses anyway, so that's what I like about that. But let's talk about some stuff. Our time is kind of running down. I have a list, a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we
decided. Oh my gosh. So let's talk about tell everybody a little bit about, like, so you created the dashboard for yourself. What specifically were you trying to accomplish when you created for you before people started asking you about it?
So I started on Poshmark, and Poshmark has nothing, right? So one part of it was like, how much did I sell this month? Because I don't even tell you that, right? It's one number the whole time that you sold. So part of it was like, how much am I actually making? Am I, like, I see things going out, but am I actually making money at this, or is it Poshmark just making me feel like I'm making money? So that was one of it. And then the other part was like, I would try and get on, social media, Facebook groups, some YouTube, and, this sells well. And I'm like, but like, it drove me crazy because I'm like, well, what does well mean? Like, your well and what you're trying to make is different than my well. So I was like, I'm going to just look at what I have available to me and start buying different brands that I see and how it's actually selling for me. And then it went into like, how do I use Poshmark strategies? Like, I'm going to do offer to likes, but then they don't tell you if it works, right? Like, you made a sale, but like in the long run, is it actually worth it? So it was really just trying to help me figure out how to make money doing it.
Yeah, I think that's really smart that you did that, because yes, they have like a report. They just came up with an inventory report, and then they have another report, right? But they don't have anything like eBay does. Well, and Mary just came up with, you can go right into and see all your analytics of your sales and everything. They just started that about 3 months ago or so.
Oh, Macari did?
It looks really good. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I'm not on Macari, but that might be my next one. But they don't. So when I first started, the sales report. Yeah, the sales report, they had that because I built the dashboard. So they did have that, but that was new. Yeah. And then the inventory report didn't come out until.
Yeah, that was after PoshFest last year.
Yeah, so they didn't even have that. And in the app, they don't have any. I mean.
But I think it's really smart. So like, when you started using it, how did you draw attention? Where you just like started talking about your numbers and then people started asking you about it?
When I was using it like before I was selling it, I went to a Posh and Sip, and we were just talking, and some people were like, well, like, how do you know what to buy? And, just like general Posh and Sip questions. And I was like, well, I like track all my stuff in a spreadsheet, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, wait, what? Can I have this? Where do you do this? Like, so many people. And I was like, oh, like, don't other people use spreadsheets? Like, it was just second nature to me. Yeah. I mean, I worked in corporate America and I lived in spreadsheets. So it was completely second nature to me. And so I made some friends on Poshmark, and they're like, Sarah, like, I gave them what I had, which was not what it looks like now. It was very basic, like, and they were like, you need to sell this. And I was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really good. I actually just purchased Sarah's dashboard, and the reason that I did goes back to what we were just talking about, me trying to like streamline my business. I invested in List Perfectly, and I'm getting the dashboard, and I want to let people know again that I've been reselling for 4.5 years. So this is not new to me, but I want to continue to work my business and then grow the other businesses. And I think that Sarah's dashboard, once I start looking at it, will help me.
It is. And so you got the sales and trends one, which is great if you're on multiple platforms.
Yes.
But because you're on multiple platforms, it's not just one report. So it's, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. This is kind of probably where you're at. Like, it's very scary and intimidating because you have to build all the data.
I haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah,
I got it, and that was it. So
it's a start.
But you know why? Because I've been YouTube. So my goal is like this week. Like I have a plan of what I'm each day. I have a plan of what I'm going to do. So I was like, you know what? Let me just kind of ride the end of the month out on this YouTube train. And so that's kind of what I'm doing, riding the end of the month out, because I have a lot of content that I need to put out for my new group, for my new business. I have a webinar and a course I'm trying to release by the 1st. It probably won't happen, but and my stuff is non-reselling related. I got a whole nother business just not reselling related, which is so awesome. But I will be looking at it soon. So this weekend I'm going to be looking at it because there's like certain days that I use. Like I don't list every day, and I don't use list perfectly every day. I will probably do it like 3 times a week. Because you can't do everything every day, even though Poshmark wants to. It is that platform that tries to get you to do that. I sell on other platforms, so I use the same strategic method that I use for my other platforms to sell on Poshmark. People can say whatever they want. Yes, it is. You have to share and you have to do some other stuff, but I do the same thing across the board. I list on Etsy, I make sales. Handmade and vintage, I list on Mercari, I make sales. So I can do the same thing for Poshmark, right? All I'm going to do is list some stuff. I'm not sitting around sharing all day. I just don't have time. It's not my business structure. And it really never has been that I'm going to sit around and share and follow all day long. I think there's a workaround to everything. So
it'll be, I mean, I'm interested to hear once you get your data in there, because there's charts on the sales and trends ones, there's charts on by platform. So when you decide like which one am I going to give up, I mean, it's really helped me because I was doing a whole bunch of them and I was like, why am I putting all this time in if I'm not actually like getting sales from it? Let me put all of my effort into eBay or Poshmark or whatever. Everyone is different, right? Like your Etsy may be on fire where my
Etsy is totally on fire. Yes. And and Etsy has the analytics too. So they already have like a built-in dashboard, and I've been using, Etsy was my home before I became a reseller. So I can work Etsy like I started vintage last November, but I wasn't doing a lot because I just closed my eBay and I had a lot of vintage items. And I said, you know what? Now that Etsy is vintage, let's throw some stuff on there. So I really wasn't working it, but now I'm strategically buying vintage things. Like I have a chair full over here. So I list about 10 things a week because I'm doing other things. I can't be that lister that's listing every single day. So I really break it down and the sales are coming in. But the cool thing is, especially when I use the dashboard, I know that's going to tell me that both my Etsy stores are at handmade and vintage on fire. Yeah. I can make 1 or 2 sales a week in vintage because they're quality items. And I'm selling things for like $200 for a bag. But then the cheapest thing that I sold this week, it was $55 for a sweater.
And Etsy fees are low too.
Yeah, and the fees are low, and you can renew it and do all kinds of things like that. And so I've always loved the structure of Etsy. So when I came along to these other platforms, I was like, oh, okay. So this is what we have to do. So when I came back to handmade, it was really great. Tell me about Mr. Well, thank you so much, Nick. I appreciate that. He loves my drive. Like, listen, this is like, I've always been hustling. And when I was home with the 5 children, I had 2 businesses. And it's like funny, like my family now doesn't even know half the stuff that I do because I don't talk about that. I don't promote anything on Facebook. That's the only platform I use for socialization with my family because I have family in Africa and different places. So to me, it's like the best platform to reach people all around the world. Mm-hmm. But they don't know. I don't talk about Poshmark, nothing. I don't share. I don't do that Posh. What's that? The campaigns. I don't do any of that on my personal page. So if they came over to YouTube or if they came to Instagram, they would be blown away. I don't believe in selling like that. I have pages, but I do not have, and they find me on their own. But it does amaze people what I'm doing. So
my Facebook page is like my own personal, and I don't actually, unless I've met you in real life, I don't actually even let you on my personal page. Because I don't show my kids on, you guys are very familiar with the back of their heads probably by now, but I don't show, because I can't take pictures of my life if my kids weren't in it, but I am very strategic to not put their faces until they're an age that they decide they want to be on it and know what that means. But so my Facebook is like, my kids are on there. This is what this is me.
I think that's beautiful.
Side of work. And so a lot of people know like what I do, but then like I had someone who like stumbled across a YouTube video and they're like, Sarah, like you really do this. And I was like, yeah.
It's amazing. My mother's the same way. Like my mother, we were talking about phones. She just upgraded. She still has an Android, but she just upgraded to whatever the latest Android is. And she went in and put Instagram on. And that first day she followed me. I was like, oh my God. Like, in my mind, I thought she was already following me, but she called me the next day and was like, oh my goodness. And this when I had just hit about 10,000 community members on Instagram. And she was like, what have I missed? How have I missed that? And then she started watching my YouTube and everything. And she called me, Les, I want to start a YouTube channel. And my father watches all my videos. That surprised me. He contacted me one day and was like, wow. He's like, Les, you come right up on my feed. You're famous. And he's the one that pushes me. When are you writing a book? When are you doing this? When are you doing that? It's in you. Bring it out now. And I'm like, I got you. Most
of my family actually isn't even on social media, maybe Facebook a little bit, but like Instagram and YouTube. Like when I was starting, because I have a large family, so I would like send them my YouTube chat video and I was like, can you comment on it? Can you like it? Can you like help the algorithm? And they're like, we don't have YouTube.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
And like it just add the app on it. So yeah, it is. It's not everyone's in the same place, and it is amazing. My mother surprised me, but my mother is if you follow her, she's the Plant Mom's Journey, and she is talking about plants. And I just think it's wonderful because we have plants. Her father had plants everywhere. I have plants. That's a family thing. And my mother's whole house is beautiful. So if you go on, you'll see this beautiful home with all these beautiful plants. So Sarah, tell me about your course and why did you decide you wanted to do a course?
I decided I wanted to do a course because I feel like there's so much content that I need I have these dashboards available, and unless you know how to use them, then it kind of just stops there. Like what I was finding is people were getting the dashboard, and the first time I was like, oh my God, this is so much cool information. And they would look at it once, and maybe make a couple changes, but then they didn't know how to like go a little bit further with it. And so I do YouTube, but YouTube is like 12 minutes here, 13 minutes there. I did this, like not like really getting into it. And so I was like, well, I want to do a course to be able to teach people. And I have lists of like lots of courses to do because it's very in-depth. So I started with like a beginner 101 course, and I beta tested it starting last week. I had some people test it out, give me some feedback and stuff. And I don't think it's like what I thought was beginner isn't necessarily beginner for everyone. So now I'm building a fundamental course.
Nice.
Because I want to be able to reach, if you want to be able to look at your numbers, I want to be able to help you. And if that means that we have to go back and remember 7th grade math, let's do it in a nice way with a pink mohawk. Let's get into some 7th grade math. So I want to be able to help. And it doesn't have to be the courses. You don't have to have the dashboard. So some of it I go into like, here's how you look at eBay analytics, but I want to be able to show people how to run their business and pivot and make choices because everything's going to change. I didn't want to build a course like, here's how you do a listing, here's how you do this, because by the time I put the course out, it's going to change.
Right.
I want to be able to show you like how to look at your numbers. So when there's a pandemic, you can figure out what to do, right? Like you don't need me anymore. I'm basically putting myself out of a job, right? Like I want to teach you so that you don't have to, okay, something new changed. What do I do now? What's the solo brand? What's the new trend? Like I want to help you figure that out.
Sounds good. So for your course, because, I'm building courses, I actually took a course. I did a Udemy course. I have 8 courses. I have all these certificates now. Doing courses like crazy, but I took a course to just learn how to kind of streamline. It was $10. A $400 course they were having to sell was $10. So
I probably should have.
Yeah, it is what it is. You know, the funny thing about it is I took the course, but it was teaching you how to build your course for Udemy. I didn't want to do that. So that part, I mean, I just kind of listened to it. But I have a course on, I'll probably add it to my website, but I use Podia, which is a whole nother different thing. But, and then I lost my thought that I was, oh no, I don't know what I was going to say. So when you put your course together, because you know, courses, they're evolving the way that you can do a course. Before you could come up and it'd just be like just graphics going across your screen and someone talking behind the scenes. Are you doing a visual like webinar type of course where you can actually see yourself and you're sharing your screen and everything?
Yeah, because I want to make it. I mean, I went to school to be a teacher, so I feel like building a course, I already know how. Like, I know how to teach. I learned how to make a lesson plan. I learned how the 5 different senses that you need to hit to make sure someone understands the content. So I feel like I have a one-up in that aspect. And so one of when you're learning, people are visual. People want to see me and see, you know, me, but then also the screen. So I am up in the screen while I'm teaching it. But then you also get a PDF. But then I also make you do activities, because if I tell you, here's this, you need to be able to do it, right? I don't make you, you don't have to do it, right? But there's practice in it. Like, we go over a concept and then here's a practice. Go find your data. Here's how you find your data, do the practice. And then I do Google Sheets tutorials as well. So here's how you figure it out, writing it down with a calculator. Here's how we do it in Google Sheets, so that you can, if you don't have the dashboard, you can figure out some of these things that I'm talking about. Or if there's something else outside of the dashboard that you want to look at, you can now go into Google Sheets and you have that skill set to look at everything that I'm teaching you.
That sounds good. Yeah. So definitely when you get your course up and running, you're going to have to come onto my masterclass. So the masterclass, it's a reseller's masterclass. And that's just because I wanted it to be my name. I didn't want to get that deep into it. But it's going to be me teaching and doing things, but I'm also bringing different people in it. And I try to make it clear. And I've said that before. It is not a reseller group. It's not a reseller content. There may be resellers who are coming in that have another skill set, like Sarah, because she didn't start off as a reseller. She is a mathematician. So that's what I want. I want that part. And so I actually have a link in my bio for anyone who thinks that they can teach something, a skill where you'll share your screen, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I have people who are going to be coming in and doing all kinds of stuff. And so we're going to build, and it's a masterclass to empower and build up women, to teach our skills, to get together and empower each other, you know, women supporting women. I've always wanted to do something like that. That group is free, but then I'm also going to have a paid membership group. I have all kinds of stuff going on, but there's a link in my bio. So anyone who wants to teach, what I have now is I have the calendar for the whole month of November. It's only going to be Thursdays, an hour, and the first 2 weeks and last week. It's 2 weeks. No, not the Christmas 2 weeks. It's only going to be 2 weeks in December, and then the first week in November, because of course the holiday. And I don't think I did Thanksgiving. I might take that off because I just realized that Thursday is Thanksgiving. So I'll go back and do that. But you can just go in, fill your space in, type in who you are, what you teach, that kind of thing. So it's for anyone, and I'll still look at it and decide, you know, because it's not just for our reselling community, it's out to all the groups that I'm in. So we're going to have women coming in and teaching Pinterest and all kinds of great stuff. So go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I mean, it's interesting that you said like it's not just for reselling, because I'm very much into like I'm teaching resellers to do this. But as I go on YouTube and I'm like looking up what kind of content, like what do I know? What, you know, you have to like build your content and look up the SEOs and stuff ahead. There's a lot of skill sets that I'm like, oh, like I could probably teach this to lots of people. Like they don't have to be resellers.
That's why I thought that. Yeah, I already know that. That's why, because otherwise I wouldn't say for you to come on. I already see that. You see what I'm saying? Right now, because you didn't go to school to be a mathematician to create a dashboard for the reselling community, right?
Yeah.
So so I already see
math.
that.
You can use math in anything.
Exactly. Exactly. So you can kind of come in and really talk about whatever you want to talk about. Like I already know who you are, so it's not like I have this like. I want everybody to still send me a bio so I can promote them and everything, and then like it'll be live like this. So you'll come in live and you'll do your spiel, and then all your links will be in there. So we want everyone to get business. We want everyone to get some kind of growth. yeah, it's going to be the same kind of setting, because I asked even like my friend Wendy to come in, and Wendy's still going like, well, why are you asking me? Wendy is over 50. She's 53. She taught herself how to sew, and she's creating some things. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a skill set. You can come in as a speaker and speak to the women over 50. It's all about empowerment. You know, we're more than just somebody's mother. We're more than just somebody's wife. As we get older, where is our place in life? So that's the kind of stuff that I want to do. You know, I think it goes, that's just something that I have in my heart, to just help people. People see me and I'm like, well, I'm just living, you know, my authentic true life. My children are gone. So that's not going to, I'm not going to go, okay, well, they're gone. I have my sad moments, but now it's time for me to go and take care of Leslie. And in order for me to do that, I love taking care of other people and lifting them up. Anybody have any last minute questions for Sarah? So Sarah, what's, aside from all the stuff we just talked about, what's new for you?
I mean, that's it. I've been working on getting, I haven't thrifted in like months. And it's actually been kind of, I miss it. But it's allowed me, what's that?
You're foggy on your end.
Oh,
Are you having some internet issues?
Yeah, you're okay.
Can everybody see Sarah okay?
Am I okay?
Yeah, Nikki, that's fine. Everyone who's joined, thank you. I hope I didn't miss anyone. Nikki, the 19th is fine. Nikki picked her calendar. Yay. Next investment needs to be camera for you, hun. That's right, Nick. I love it.
Am I so foggy? It looks okay.
But I can still hear you. We're almost at the end anyway. See,
you know what it is? It's because I looked it up, because this has happened to me. I don't know if you can hear me. This is, I don't even
hear you. See you and everything. It's just like, it's almost like a, you know, when you don't want to, like when you blank out the children's face, that's kind of how it looks almost. I can see your teeth.
It's the internet, which means that my husband's on the internet. My kids are probably streaming a show right now. My oldest is probably on Minecraft. Like, that's what it is. It's not my camera. It's my whole family on the internet.
So, Nick, we got to work on that internet. Camera and all that stuff is going to work if we have, so everybody's saying you're blurry.
All right. That's our natural end time.
Yeah, camera's not going to work, you know. So, real quick, even we can still hear you though. What is your goal for the next couple of months that you plan on doing?
I want to really build up my YouTube and courses and content and kind of see where that goes. Really work on like digital products. I have a couple ideas to do some things with the dashboards. But really like just teach people how. I hear so many times like I want to make more, but then they just kind of stop there and they don't know how to get there. And so if they're inclined to do it with math, which I'm inclined to think that's the way to do it because it's a business, it's just numbers. But I want to be able to help. I really do have a passion to help other people. I'm kind of okay where my numbers are right now for my reselling. So I'm kind of, as long as I can maintain where I'm at, where my reselling is, I really want to focus on YouTube and courses and digital products to kind of help others.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where you're going to go. Believe me, I understand. I was where you were, you know, with 2 additional children. And so I know what it's like to be home trying to run a business. And I was working and doing all kinds of stuff in all those years. But you empower me. So I don't know if you ever thought that. You're always so kind and say great things about it. But I love the moms. I love the stories of the virtual, you know, learning, the homeschooling, and they just adapting to what's going on. And it sounds like you're doing amazing, even if you don't think you're it's amazing. You are, because you're surviving every day. Your children aren't going hungry. No one's going to take them. You know, they're not going to knock on your door and any kind of crazy stuff. This is life. And I love the fact that you shared that you were having a rough time. People need to hear that. They need to hear real, transparent stuff, because I have my days too, people. So look, like I keep looking at my face, like I just really need to get 30 pounds off real quick, because my doctor's going to yell at me next week at my doctor's appointment.
But I don't think it's gonna happen in a week, Leslie.
I don't think that's gonna happen in a week. And I'm gonna tell her, I'm like, listen, let me tell you, listen, I'm running a business. I've been telling her that for 2 years, and she's gonna ask me, where are you at now? And I'm gonna say, well, yeah, I'm at 20,000, and I just became monetized. And she's gonna be like, yeah, that's beautiful, but I need you to lose 40 pounds.
Yeah.
So Sarah, Nick, thank you for coming on. He said, yeah, it was the YouTube. It's both because he said children weren't on anything. So
yes, right. So it's not my camera. It's our I need to figure out.
You're back. She's back. Yes.
I bet he told the kids to get off a tablet or something.
Oh, that's funny. So everyone, I want to thank you for joining. Sarah, what are your last words?
Oh, thank you. I mean, just thank you for having me on. I always enjoy talking to you, Leslie. You're such an amazing part of the community, and I'm glad that I don't even remember how we met now, but I'm glad that we did, because you're just you're an amazing friend, and I'm glad that you allowed me to come on, and that I talked to you on Monday as well.
Yeah, that was exciting.
I feel like we could talk for like another 5 hours.
Sure. You're going to have to keep coming on. That's what we just have to do. I love the fact that as we grow and we change, then we can just come on. So it'll be great. And once you come into like the master class, that's going to be a whole nother group of people that you can touch aside from. And that's what I like too. I think that we can, it's amazing, right? That we don't just have to stay in this little box, that we can kind of break out and expand. And that's my goal. I'm not just a reseller, I'm an entrepreneur. And my goal is like reselling is just a small little portion. But I want to thank everyone for coming. I really appreciate you. I validate you and continue to do the thing you think that you cannot do, friend. Thank you so much for joining us.